Hey there, and welcome back to English Podcast 2.0. I'm so glad you've joined me today. If you're someone who understands English but struggles to speak it confidently, then this episode is for you. We've all been there. You can understand movies, read books, or listen to podcasts in English, but when it comes to speaking, something just holds you back. In today's episode, we're going to talk about how to break that barrier, and I'm going to share with you some simple and effective tips to help you speak English with confidence. We're going to focus on how to start using English in your daily life, step by step, without feeling overwhelmed or embarrassed. So let's get started. By the end of this episode, I hope you'll feel a lot more confident about speaking English, no matter where you are in your learning journey. Understanding English versus speaking English. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you can understand everything being said, but when it's your turn to speak, you freeze up? It's like your mind knows the words, but they just don't come out. This is actually a very common experience for language learners. You've spent time listening, reading, and maybe even writing in English, but the speaking part still feels difficult. And here's the thing, understanding English and speaking it are two different skills. When you understand English, you've built up a passive knowledge. But speaking requires you to actively use the language. This is why it can feel so challenging. But don't worry, speaking English is something you can definitely improve with practice. And that's what we're going to talk about today, how to build that speaking muscle. Tip 1. Start speaking to yourself. I know this might sound a bit strange, but trust me on this one. Talking to yourself is a great way to start practicing speaking English without the fear of making mistakes in front of others. It's low pressure, and you can do it whenever you want. For example, in the morning when you wake up, try describing your plans for the day in English. I'm going to have breakfast, then I'll go to work. After work, I'll practice English for an hour. You don't have to make it complicated. Just talk about simple things that are happening in your life. Speaking aloud, even to yourself, helps you get used to producing English sounds and thinking in English. It helps you build fluency and confidence over time. Tip 2. Use simple phrases in everyday situations. Now let's take it a step further. Start using simple phrases in your everyday life. You don't have to speak perfectly or have a full conversation in English right away. Just start with small, simple sentences. For example, when you're at the store, you can say, "Can I get this in a larger size?" Or, "How much is this item?" If you're at work or school, you can practice asking questions like, "What time is the meeting?" Or, "Could you help me with this?" The key is to practice speaking in real-life situations, even if it's just a short sentence or two. These moments will build your confidence, and soon you'll feel more comfortable speaking in larger conversations. Tip 3. Find a language partner. Another great way to practice speaking is to find a language partner. This could be a friend, a family member, or someone you meet online. A language partner is someone who is also learning English, or who is fluent, and is willing to practice with you. Having someone to practice with makes speaking feel more natural. You can start with simple dialogues like introducing yourself, talking about your hobbies, or discussing your favorite movies. Don't worry about making mistakes. The most important thing is to keep speaking and getting comfortable with the language. Tip 4. Don't fear mistakes. Tom, one of the biggest barriers to speaking English is the fear of making mistakes. I want to tell you something important. Mistakes are part of the learning process, and everyone makes them, even native speakers. So stop worrying about being perfect. When you make a mistake, just keep going. It's okay. Think of it as a learning opportunity. The more you speak, the more you'll learn from your mistakes, and soon you'll make fewer of them. Confidence comes from practice, not perfection. Tip 5. Use technology to your advantage. There are so many tools and apps available to help you improve your speaking skills. One great way to practice is by using language exchange apps or platforms like HelloTalk or Tandem, where you can chat with native speakers or other learners. These platforms allow you to practice speaking through voice messages or live conversations. They're a great way to immerse yourself in the language without leaving your home. Another great tool is speech recognition software. Many apps, like Google Translate, allow you to speak and get feedback on your pronunciation. You can use these tools to hear how words are supposed to sound and compare them to your own pronunciation. Tip 6. Practice regularly. Finally, like anything in life, consistency is key. The more you practice speaking English, the more confident you'll become. Start with small, manageable goals like speaking for 5 minutes a day. As you progress, you can increase the time and complexity of your conversations. You don't need to dedicate hours every day. Even just a few minutes a day of speaking practice will make a big difference over time. And remember, you don't have to practice for a long time at once. Just small daily sessions will add up and help you get better. Oh, there you have it. These tips will help you overcome the barrier between understanding English and speaking it with confidence. Remember, speaking is a skill, and like any skill, it gets better the more you practice. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, use technology to your advantage, and most importantly, keep speaking every day. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of English Podcast 2.0. I hope these tips help you start speaking English more confidently. And remember, the more you speak, the easier it becomes. See you in the next episode where we'll continue improving your English together. Until then, take care and keep practicing.